Hey, it's Anne Marie with Speak Confident English, and I want to start with a question today. Do you remember the last time that you had a terrible night and you didn't get any sleep? The next day at work, your colleague says, "You look terrible." How did that make you feel? That comment is pretty shocking and surprising and probably the last thing that you want to hear. Or what about that time that you've just sat down to enjoy dinner and someone says, "Should you really be eating that?" Again, it's probably not what you wanted to hear, and it definitely didn't make you feel good. And finally, have you ever tried to communicate in English? You're trying to express yourself or deal with a complicated situation, like talking to an accountant in English, and the other person starts to get impatient, frustrated, and even rude with you. In those situations, what did you do? Did you just panic and say nothing? Or maybe you're like me, and after you walk away from the situation and you have a little bit of time, you think of the perfect thing that you should have said, but you didn't have those words in the moment. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about what you can say or what you should say when someone is rude to you in English. Now, to make this easy, we're going to look at 4 simple strategies that you can use to deal with rude situations or rude people, and the language that you can use as well. But before we get into those 4 strategies, I want to talk specifically about situations when someone is rude to you because you're trying to express yourself in English and it isn't easy or it's not happening very quickly. For example, recently I had a student who was at the DMV, or the Department of Motor Vehicles. In the United States, that's where we go to get our driver's license and pay for our car registration. No one likes going to the DMV. And my student was having a really hard time communicating, and the woman she was talking with got impatient and rude, and in the end, my student felt terrible. And you have maybe had a similar situation. In those moments, we often feel terrible, discouraged, and we lose our confidence. But I want you to remember one really important thing. Learning and using another language is really challenging and brave. The truth is, that other person has probably never learned another language. They have no idea what it means to communicate in another language and how hard it can be to find the words that you really want to say. In those situations, I want to give you the tools that will help you stay calm, think clearly, keep your confidence, and know exactly what to say. In fact, those situations are a great opportunity to remind that person that using another language is pretty difficult and it takes a lot of courage. In English, we have an expression that we all learn as children. If you can't say anything nice, then don't say anything at all. And I think this is the perfect situation to remind someone of that important expression. So the next time you're trying to communicate, trying to express yourself in English, and the other person starts to get a little impatient or rude, here are 2 great things that you can say. Number 1, I really appreciate your patience. It's difficult to communicate in another language. And number 2, thanks for your kindness. It isn't easy to say what I want in English. With both of those examples, you're staying in control of the situation and using confident, assertive language that reminds the other person of that important expression they learned as a child. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Then, when the conversation is over, you can walk away and forget everything that other person said. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what a stranger thinks about you. You did the right thing, and you can walk away being 100% sure that what you said was the right thing to say in English. Now, in addition to people sometimes being really rude when we're trying to express ourselves in another language, The reality is, there are moments that happen all the time when our best friend, our sister, our spouse, a child, a neighbor, or a stranger is rude to us. Sometimes they know that they're being rude, and other times they have no idea. So today I want to focus on 4 strategies that you can use to deal with those situations and give you the language that you need to do it with confidence. Strategy number 1, kill them with kindness. I love that expression, and this is my favorite strategy. To kill someone with kindness means to be so polite and so nice that their rudeness becomes really obvious and clear. So, how do you kill someone with kindness? The first part is showing empathy. Recognizing that that person might be having a really bad day, and that's why they're being rude. It really has nothing to do with you. They're just in a bad place. So here are some things that you can say in that situation. It seems like you might be having a really bad day because you don't normally say things like that. If you need anything, I'm here. I'm not going to take what you just said personally because you don't normally say things like that. Maybe you're just having a really bad day, and I'll chat with you tomorrow. In both of those examples, instead of focusing on the negative or rude comment and taking it personally and getting upset, you're focusing on the other person. You're being empathetic and caring and recognizing that maybe they're just having the worst day. This strategy is particularly helpful with friends, family members, and even coworkers, anyone that you need to have a healthy, strong relationship with. Now, if you want more examples of what you could say to kill someone with kindness, I've got several more for you in the online lesson. So be sure to check it out after you watch this video. Strategy number 2, educate and enlighten. The truth is, sometimes people say things and they have no idea that it was disrespectful, rude, or offensive. So in those moments, we can let them know kindly that what they said really wasn't appropriate or it was just rude, but we'll do it in a really polite way. For example, I'm not sure if you realize this, but what you just said was pretty rude. Or, when you say things like that, it could be really offensive. Those simple statements let the other person know that what they said really wasn't okay. If you want more examples of how to kindly and simply educate and enlighten someone, there are more examples for you in the online lesson. But let's move on to strategy number 3. Be calm and assertive. Truthfully, being calm should be your first priority in all of these strategies. And if you need to, when someone says something really rude, just take a moment, take a deep breath, count to 10, so that you can think clearly about what you want to say and how you want to respond. And then you can use one of these strategies or use an assertive statement like, "When you say things like that, I don't want to continue this conversation with you." Or, "When you interrupt me because I'm trying to express myself in English, which isn't easy, I feel really disrespected." Now, if you want to get more in depth about how to be assertive in English and why it's an important skill to have, I have a full lesson on that topic, and I'll leave a link to that lesson in the notes just below this video. And, of course, you'll also find more examples of how to stay calm and be assertive in the online lesson. And finally, strategy number 4, shut it down. The truth is, sometimes we try to handle rude situations and rude people with all of these polite strategies, and they don't work. That person continues to be rude and inappropriate, and at that point, we have to be very direct, clear, and shut it down or put a stop to it. These examples are particularly helpful when you're communicating with a stranger or someone in a public place. You want to shut it down and walk away. Number 1, that's really rude and I don't need to listen to it. Number 2, I don't tolerate rude behavior and rude comments. I'm not going to continue this conversation. And number 3, I think we need to agree to disagree and end this conversation here. With any of those examples, you shut down the opportunity for that rudeness to continue, and the most important thing after you say it is to calmly and confidently walk away, knowing that you've done the right thing. Now, as always, the best way to immediately learn how to use this language and feel comfortable with it is to practice. And I do have some challenge questions for you today. But before I share those challenge questions, if you found this lesson helpful to you, I would love to know. And there are 3 really great ways that you can tell me. Number 1, give this video a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to this channel so you never miss a future lesson. Number 2, share it with friends and colleagues on Facebook. Maybe you have someone that you work with that also needs a little bit of help with how to deal with rude situations in English. And finally, be sure to share your comments and questions with me. You can do that in the comment section at the end of the online lesson. So let's get to those challenge questions. Using the strategies and the language that you've learned today, what would you say when a colleague sits down next to you at lunch and says, "Should you really be eating that?" Situation number 2, you just got a new haircut and you're kind of nervous about it because it's really different. And then your best friend sees you and she says, "Oh my God, I hope you didn't have to pay for that haircut. It's terrible." What would you say? And finally, number 3, you're trying to organize some kind of team building event at work and you want to make everyone happy. You want to make sure it's really fun. But you have a colleague who comes to you and says, "Why are you making such a big deal about this? You're always so dramatic and fussy about everything." Take some time to review the strategies and the language that you've learned today and tell me how you would respond in each of those situations. You can do that again at the end of the online lesson. It's the best place to share with me, get feedback, and learn from others in the Confident English community. With that, thank you so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you next time for your Confident English lesson.